Hey guys, welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast, your daily guide for inner child healing. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine, and it's divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading, the second is a discussion of that reading, followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you could join us here on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time, welcome. Now, before we dive in, I'd like to again remind us of the congratulations of passing the 500 episode marker. And as a celebration of that, I've opened up the Patreon community for free membership so that people can join our Zoom calls for free. There are a lot of people struggling out there. There's a lot going on. So I thought this could be a way to provide some help and, to give some thanks for all the support that I've received so far. You can also choose if you'd like to be a paid Patreon member, and that will help me to subsidize some of the costs and expenses that I have for this project. I'm still running this out of my own pocket, so it's about $2,000 to $5,000 a year that it costs me to produce this actually. So I'm not really making money from this. It's something that I'm doing for myself and hopefully to be able to help others. And so I'm coming from a genuine place here. The second thing that I'd like to remind you is that you can also find the Reparenting Daily Journal. You can purchase that on Amazon. It's another way to support the podcast. It's under $20. And it basically allows you to follow along with all of the monthly and weekly themes. It gives you space to keep your notes. And yeah, if you join the team or the Zoom calls, it might be a great way for us to all stay aligned and be working together. The last thing I'd like to give you a head up on is the Fairy Tales for Reparenting Daily series. As I mentioned earlier, I've had some editing issues with that because in the springtime, the end of spring, I did some reworking to structure those into certain themes. So like the beginning, middle, and end of the hero's journey. And in the midst of reorganizing and restructuring the stories and also upgrading the artwork, some of the text is a bit mixed and jumbled all over the place. Sorry about that. When I was in the editing phase for the first time, they did not send the proofread copies to the Netherlands, and so I had to work, around and trying to find a way to get the copy to edit, and it's just been a mess. So basically, that's going to take a little bit longer. I'm going to aim to have that done by the end of the year, but I have burned my eyes, so I am very limited. Excuse me, with what I can do and time I spent on the computer. And so I would have had that done much earlier. I would have liked to have that already done, but here we are. And so in any case, once that's available, again, I'll give you a heads up, but please do hold off on purchasing the Fairy Tales for Reparenting Daily for now. Or Fairy Tales for Reparenting series, not the Fairy Tales for Reparenting Daily. That's it today. So without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is an article from the American Heart Association, and it's entitled Redefining Failure, How to Overcome Setbacks. Just as a reminder, we're in October, and the theme for this month is Developing Resilience and Overcoming Challenges. We are in week 3, and the theme is Coping with Failure and Setbacks. Redefining Failure, How to Overcome Setbacks. Setbacks in life are inevitable, but you can choose to see them as positive lessons instead of upsetting failures. Learn ways to deal with setbacks and obstacles so that you can move forward and achieve your goals. Thomas Edison went through thousands of failures before his light bulb worked the way he wanted it to. Edison had a very positive view of failure, famously saying, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Society focuses on what he got right at the end, and that's what he's regarded as America's greatest inventor. It's a lot harder to cut ourselves some slack than it is to go easy on historical figures. If we practice dealing with setbacks the right way, we can turn our failures into wins. Here are some do's and don'ts to get over failure. Don't dwell on past mistakes. Research suggests that when you dwell on your perceived failures, it only makes us more depressed. You don't have to beat yourself up when you should be figuring out how to keep going. So forgive yourself and move on before you fall deeper into the pit of despair. Do focus on future goals. We may not want to dwell on our failures, but that doesn't mean we don't serve a purpose. They don't serve a purpose. A minor setback can actually motivate us to double down and push harder when we're aiming for long-term achievement. If your goal was to climb a mountain, but you didn't reach the summit, you still learned something and grown stronger for the next climb. Next time, you'll be more resolved than ever to reach the top. Don't be an avoider. The very word failure can put us in the wrong mindset when facing challenges. Research shows that when we have a do anything but fail mentality, we're afraid to admit small defeats, learn from them, and move on to the next challenge. Instead, we get angry and anxious and spend much of the time avoiding failure that we can't scrap a bad plan and change course. It's like using a minor setback. Try using words like minor setback instead. Do be a seeker. Instead of thinking, I'll try not to fail, make it your mantra, I'll seek success. When we focus on possible achievements, we're more willing to fail forward fast and experiment with new approaches, which is exactly what we should do. As a bonus, research shows it tends to make us happier and less stressed too. Don't stick with it stubbornly. Small setbacks are one thing, but there are times when you need to admit that your plan is not working. It can be dangerous to press on with a bad plan just because you don't want to feel like all your efforts have been wasted. Climbing a mountain is a fine goal, but most casualties on Everest happen near the top. Sometimes it's best to turn back before it's too late. Even if it isn't life or death, it could be a bad plan that's wasting your efforts. And do adjust quickly. It feels bad to scrap a plan that wasn't working, but the faster you do, the less time you'll lose. We're programmed to resist admitting defeat. So try reframing your setbacks as nothing more than failed experiments like Edison and his light bulbs, where the number of tries isn't important. As long as you adjust, learn, and keep at it, your light will shine bright in the end. This is what Edison and others great thinkers do. And his mindset isn't a relic of the past. Elon Musk, a modern-day Edison, has had delays in his electric cars rolling off the production line, and his SpaceX rockets have blown up on the launch pad. He says if things aren't failing, you aren't innovating enough. And this is a guy who launched a Tesla towards Mars. Thank you, and that's the reading for today. Today's reading reframes failure not as proof of inadequacy, but part of the creative process of growth. Using Thomas Edison's attitude towards invention as a model, it reminds us that every failed attempt is actually a data point on the path to success. Edison didn't see mistakes as reflections of his worth. He saw them as feedback. This mindset embodies resilience, the ability to face disappointment without collapsing into self-blame or despair. Resilient people don't avoid failure. They expect it as an essential teacher that sharpens their wisdom and strengthens their resolve. In the context of coping with failure and setbacks, this reading encouraged shifting from shame-based thinking, I failed, to growth-based reflection, I learned. The distinction between dwelling and adjusting is key. Failure only becomes toxic when we get stuck in rumination or self-criticism. By focusing on future goals, experimenting with new strategies, and allowing flexibility, we turn setbacks into stepping stones. This is essential. This is the essence of the fail forward principle. To view mistakes not as dead ends, but as direction signs, pointing us towards refinement and mastery. Reparenting, from a reparenting perspective, this involves reading. From a reparenting perspective, this reading invites you to speak to yourself the way a truly supportive parent would. It's okay to make mistakes. You're learning, you're growing. Many trauma survivors internalize the belief that mistakes meant danger, punishment, or humiliation. Reparenting means rewriting that script, teaching your inner child that trying, failing, and trying again is safe and valuable. When you adopt this nurturing voice, you begin to dissolve perfectionism and reclaim curiosity, courage, and creativity that fear once silenced. The more gently you approach failure, the more freedom you gain to explore your potential fully. As we go into the journal prompts, number 1, how did my caregivers or environment shape my relationship with failure? Was it safe to make mistakes when I was growing up? And number 2, what's one current setback I can reframe as an experiment instead of a defeat? And what might this experience be teaching me? Number 3, if my inner loving parent could speak to me right after a disappointment, what would they say to encourage me to keep going? That's it for today. As always, thanks for being here. Take care of yourself, and please do be well. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please go ahead and find a space where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Take a moment to simply be with yourself. Focus on your breath and gently connect with each part of your body. If thoughts arise, don't let them overwhelm you. Just observe them without attachment. Imagine them as leaves drifting down atop a river, passing by without needing your engagement. Stay present, grounded, and open to this moment, no matter what time you are listening and practicing this meditation. Namaste.